Have you ever questioned the fabric of our reality? Could we be part of a complex simulation? These are not mere musings of science fiction authors or technophiles, but questions posed by philosophers, scientists, and thinkers alike. Welcome to the intriguing world of the simulation hypothesis. The simulation hypothesis, a concept that may sound like it's ripped straight from the pages of a Philip K. Dick novel, suggests that our reality might not be as real as we think. Instead, it proposes that we could be living in a sophisticated digital simulation, much like characters in a video game, unaware of the true nature of our existence. This fascinating theory owes much of its contemporary form to the work of philosopher Nick Bostrom. In his seminal paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?, Bostrom argues that one of three possibilities must be true. First, that humanity will go extinct before reaching a post-human stage where we could run many detailed simulations of our forebears. Second, that a post-human civilization would have no interest in running such simulations. Or third, that we are almost certainly living in a simulation right now. The simulation hypothesis isn't just a philosophical thought experiment. It's deeply intertwined with our understanding of physics, computer science, and cognition. It challenges our concepts of consciousness, existence, and the universe itself. So, let's embark on this intellectual journey together, delving into the depths of the simulation hypothesis. We'll explore its philosophical roots, its scientific perspectives, the debates it has sparked, and the profound implications it could have on our understanding of reality. Remember, the purpose here isn't to convince you of the truth of this hypothesis. Instead, it's to encourage you to question, to think, to ponder about the very nature of our reality. Because after all, in the words of physicist and Nobel laureate Richard Feynman, I think it's much more interesting to live not knowing than to have answers which might be wrong. This is the world of the simulation hypothesis, where reality as we know it may be nothing more than a digital construct. The simulation hypothesis has roots in ancient philosophy and modern science fiction. Let's take a step back in time, all the way to ancient Greece, where the legendary philosopher Plato first proposed an idea akin to the simulation hypothesis. Remember the allegory of the cave? It's the tale of people chained in a cave, only ever seeing the shadows of reality, believing those shadows to be the truth. Now, this might sound like an early prototype of the simulation hypothesis, and you wouldn't be wrong to think so. Fast forward to the 18th century and we find René Descartes grappling with similar concepts. In his Meditations, Descartes questions the very nature of reality, suggesting that an evil demon could be deceiving us into believing in a false reality. This line of thought, questioning the authenticity of our perceptions, runs parallel to the simulation hypothesis. Now let's leap into the 20th century. Science fiction writers began to play with the idea of simulated realities. Philip K. Dick, in his 1977 speech, famously asked, "What if we are all just characters in a novel?" His works often blurred the lines between reality and illusion, paving the way for later works that would directly tackle the simulation hypothesis. And who could forget the cultural phenomenon that is The Matrix? This film took the concept of a simulated reality and ran with it, capturing the imagination of the public and bringing the simulation hypothesis into mainstream discourse. It's clear that the simulation hypothesis isn't a new kid on the block. It's a concept that has been woven into the fabric of our cultural and philosophical history. And while it's wrapped up in modern tech talk and scientific speculation today, its roots reach deep into our collective past. So as we delve deeper into the simulation hypothesis, remember this: we are not the first to question the nature of reality. From Plato's cave to the Matrix, the idea of an illusory reality continues to fascinate us. But what does science say about the simulation hypothesis? From the realm of philosophy, we now traverse into the world of science. Many physicists and computer scientists have weighed in on the feasibility of the simulation hypothesis, and their perspectives are as diverse as their disciplines. Quantum physicist Seth Lloyd suggests that if our universe is indeed a simulation, it would be a quantum one, not a classical one. He argues this based on the peculiar behavior of quantum particles, which seem to exist in multiple states at once until observed. Could this be a sign of computational shortcuts taken by our supposed simulators? On the other hand, computer scientists have their own unique take. They point to the exponential growth of computing power as predicted by Moore's law and the rise of virtual reality technologies. If we continue on this trajectory, they suggest it's conceivable that future civilizations could simulate entire universes. Then there's the concept of ancestor simulations, a term coined by philosopher Nick Bostrom. These are simulations of the past, created by technologically advanced future civilizations. If these civilizations were to run multiple ancestor simulations, it would mean that simulated realities would vastly outnumber the one base reality. But it's not all smooth sailing for the simulation hypothesis in the scientific community. Some physicists argue that simulating a universe down to the quantum level would require unthinkable amounts of computing power. They point to the Planck length, the smallest measurable distance in the universe, and suggest that simulating a universe down to this level would be beyond the capabilities of any conceivable computer. Furthermore, there's a glaring issue: the lack of empirical evidence. As theoretical physicist Sabine Hossenfelder puts it, we have zero evidence that we live in a computer simulation. While some scientists find the theory plausible, others argue there's a lack of empirical evidence. But as with any groundbreaking theory, the debate is far from over. The simulation hypothesis continues to inspire, provoke, and challenge us, pushing the boundaries of our understanding of reality. If our reality is a simulation, what does that mean for us as conscious beings? This question brings us to the core implications of the simulation hypothesis. If we are indeed living in a simulation, it would fundamentally change our understanding of consciousness, free will, and the nature of existence itself. Let's start with consciousness. Typically, we perceive consciousness as an inherent quality of being human, something uniquely ours. But if we are simulated beings, our consciousness might just be a sophisticated software program, a string of ones and zeros, no different from an NPC in a video game. Does that make it less real, or does that simply redefine what real means? Next comes the concept of free will. If we're part of a simulation, are our actions pre-programmed, or do we still have the ability to make choices? This leads us to the age-old debate of determinism versus free will. If every action we take is coded into the fabric of our simulated reality, does free will even exist? Or is it merely an illusion, a comforting thought that we're in control? Finally, let's talk about existence. If the simulation hypothesis is true, it begs the question, what is the nature of our existence? Are we merely bits of data in an advanced civilization's supercomputer? Or are we conscious entities experiencing a reality, albeit a simulated one? This brings us face to face with the existential dread of our own insignificance, and yet it also opens up the possibility of a reality far more complex and fascinating than we ever imagined. Now, these are not just thought experiments. They have real-world implications. If we accept the simulation hypothesis, it could radically change our approach to ethics, philosophy, and even law. If we're all part of a simulation, how do we define rights and wrongs? What becomes of morality? These are questions we'll need to grapple with. The implications of the simulation hypothesis are as profound as they are unsettling. We're left to reckon with a reality that is potentially far stranger and more intricate than anything we've known. But as we journey through this digital rabbit hole, we might just find that the truth, as they say, is indeed stranger than fiction. The simulation hypothesis is not without its critics. It's an idea that has sparked vigorous debates, pulling in perspectives from physicists, computer scientists, and philosophers alike. On one hand, we have proponents who argue that the rapid advancement of technology, particularly in fields like quantum computing and virtual reality, makes the possibility of a simulated universe more plausible. This group points out that if we can conceive of creating such simulations, it's not a far stretch to imagine that we ourselves might be part of one. But then there are those who challenge this hypothesis. They question the feasibility of simulating a universe as complex and vast as ours, citing current technological limitations. They argue that even if we could create such a simulation, it would require a level of computing power that is currently unimaginable. Philosophically, critics also point out that the simulation hypothesis rests on assumptions that are impossible to prove or disprove. For instance, how could we ever confirm that an advanced civilization with the ability to simulate a universe would choose to do so? It's a question that falls into the realm of speculation rather than scientific inquiry. Furthermore, some argue that the simulation hypothesis is a modern rehashing of age-old philosophical conundrums about the nature of reality, akin to Descartes' cogito ergo sum or the brain in a vat thought experiment. They contend that while it's a fascinating concept, it doesn't necessarily provide any new insights into our understanding of the universe. But whether you're a skeptic or a believer, one thing is certain. The debate surrounding the simulation hypothesis challenges us to question our perceptions of reality. It encourages us to probe deeper into the mysteries of existence and to continually push the boundaries of our understanding. Whether we're living in a simulation or not, the debate itself pushes the boundaries of our understanding. So, where does this leave us? As we journeyed through the complex labyrinth of the simulation hypothesis, we encountered intriguing perspectives from philosophy, science, and culture. Our exploration started with the basics of this mind-bending hypothesis, credited to philosophers like Nick Bostrom, who dared to ask whether our reality might be an elaborate digital illusion. We traced the philosophical roots of this thought experiment, witnessing how it is interwoven with historical and cultural perspectives on reality. We noticed how these ideas have permeated our collective consciousness, subtly influencing how we perceive our existence. Our journey then led us to the realm of science, where we met physicists and computer scientists, grappling with the feasibility of the hypothesis. We dove deep into the world of quantum computing and virtual realities, finding both skepticism and support for the idea that we might be living inside a cosmic computer game. We paused to contemplate the profound implications of this hypothesis. If we are indeed living in a simulated reality, it raises perplexing questions about consciousness, free will, and the nature of existence. Does it make a difference to our lives if we are just lines of code in a cosmic computer? Or does the prospect liberate us to create our own meaning in this virtual world? In the spirit of intellectual curiosity, we entertained debates and counter-arguments, acknowledging the technological limitations and philosophical critiques of the simulation hypothesis. We heard from the detractors and the defenders, realizing that the truth might be more nuanced and elusive than we initially thought. Now, as we reach the end of our exploration, it's time to pass the baton to you. We invite you to ponder this question. Are we living in a simulated reality, or is the simulation hypothesis just a fascinating thought experiment? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending explorations.